Robo-Buddies. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about Pretties by Scott Westerfield, which is book 2 of the Uglies series. Now, if you guys didn't see my video on book 1, you can click here to check that out, but if you did see the video, then you'll probably remember that I wasn't really a huge fan of the book. But I decided I'm going to make videos about these books just so that you guys know what they're about, and maybe you'll actually enjoy them more than I'm enjoying them. In book 1, Tally decides that she's going to betray Shay and give away where the smokes are at, and Tally will be able to become a pretty so she can go and party with Paris. But Tally discovers once she gets to the smokes that she actually really enjoys living in the smokes, and she doesn't really care about getting the surgery anymore. She starts to fall in love with David, and she really enjoys life out there, and she decides she's not going to betray Shay. So she rips off the necklace that was supposed to be a tracking device and throws it into the fire, unknowingly activating it. And so Special Circumstances arrives, and they take away all of the people who are living in the smokes to go live in this compound place where they're going to get this surgery to make them pretty. But David actually wasn't taken away by Special Circumstances, and Tally escapes from Special Circumstances, and so both him and Tally decide that they are going to invade Special Circumstances headquarters and try to take all of the people out and get them back to a place where they can start up the smokes thing again. And so they go over there and they get all the people out, but Shay actually had the surgery to become a pretty, so she's really airheaded and very, la 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 la, and that was my version of an airheaded person. I don't know. But yeah, so Shay has a surgery and a bunch of the people escape from Special Circumstances and they go to a new place, which is like the new smokes, and Tally actually discovers why Shay is acting like a completely different person. What happens is whenever you get the surgery to become pretty, the people actually put these lesions on your brain to alter the way that your brain works so that you don't really question society and all you focus on is being pretty and partying and not really having a care in the world, which is why most of the pretties act the way that they do, and which is why Shay has suddenly become this bumbling, airheaded fool. And so the way that Tally discovers this is because David's parents were doctors over in the new pretty town, and they saw that the brain lesions were happening. And basically doctors, they don't have these brain lesions. They get them taken off whenever they become doctors, because obviously you don't want an airheaded doctor. So they discovered that, and they were working on a cure to fix that. And they discover a cure, but they don't know if it'll work because they're afraid that it'll cause brain damage. Even though it's 99% effective, they're not sure what will happen. They're afraid that the person will slip into, this weird catatonic state, and Shay really doesn't want to return to her old way of life. As much as she loved living in the smokes, she now sees no other way of life other than being pretty. That whole surgery and brain lesions and everything affected her, and so she refuses to take these pills to go back to her old self. And so Tally decides that she is going to turn herself into Special Circumstances and get this surgery to become pretty so that they can kidnap her out and give her these pills and test them, and she's going to sacrifice herself for the greater good. So that is how book 1 ends. Tally is going to get this surgery. Book 2 begins with Tally being pretty. She had the surgery to make her pretty, and Shay had the surgery to make herself pretty, so they're both living in New Pretty Town, partying it up, and Tally gets to hang out with her best friend Paris, and life is seemingly amazing. They don't have a care in the world. They're like, I don't know what to wear to this party. Life is so difficult. Oh, I can't wait to drink. Oh, I'm hungover. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's very much a satire about what a lot of teens act like on reality TV shows, it feels like. Focusing on drinking and partying, all of this stuff that really doesn't matter. And so I think that's kind of clever on Scott Westerfield's part to include that in there. Even their names, the Pretties and New Pretty Town, there's nothing there. It's just so blank. And so because of the brain lesions, Tally doesn't remember a lot about her past way of life. She knows that she was involved with Special Circumstances, and she knows that she went to the smokes, and she knows that she broke a whole lot of rules, but she doesn't remember David, and she doesn't remember about the brain lesions, and she doesn't really remember a lot about that way of life. And she's totally loving this whole, she's totally loving this new pretty town and all of the perks that come with it. While in New Pretty Town, she gets involved with this group called the Crims, which is short for criminals, and they're very into pulling pranks and things like that. And there's this guy named Zane who's like the leader of the Crims, and he has a thing for Tally. Zane notices that there's something different about Tally. She has this life and this energy that not a lot of the pretties have, and he wants that. But because of these brain lesions, he isn't able to get that, but he doesn't really understand why. And so there's a person from book 1 who sneaks over to the New Pretty Town to meet up with Tally, and Tally is was really confused because he actually dresses like a person from Special Circumstances at this costume party, and as far as a lot of people know, no one has seen Special Circumstances, so Tally is really freaked out because she's like, how does this person know what Special Circumstances looks like? I thought I was one of the few people who have seen them. And so she talks to him, and he's one of her old friends, and she can really only notice like his imperfections. She's just like, oh wow, did he really look this ugly whenever I was living in the smokes? It's weird how vain she's become after the surgery. But he leaves her this clue about where to find some information, and so her and Zane sneak off to find this information, and they discover this letter that was written by Tally explaining about, you know, how she lived in the smokes and about this surgery and all the lesions and everything like that and this cure. And so then Special Circumstances, I think they arrive, and her and Zane are like, what do we do? What do we do? They can't find these pills. So they decide that instead of taking one person taking 2 pills, they're going to split the pills between the 2 people, and both of them are going to take it and see if they work. So basically the second book is them trying to escape New Pretty Town to go back to the smokes, even though they don't really know where the smokes are at now because it's the new smokes. It's an interesting book. There's a lot more satire in here and a lot more pokes about the culture and how warped it is. I think book 2 was a little bit better than book 1, but it's interesting. I felt terrible because here Tally is getting involved with this guy Zane when in book 1 she was in love with David, but it's so sad because, spoiler alert, when she sees David again finally, she's just like, is this really the guy that I liked? You know, his forehead is too big and he's shorter than I am because the surgery probably made her taller, but it's just like, it's sad the way that she views David after she has the surgery, you know, because you would think like, oh, love will last and blah blah blah, and it's just like she cares for Zane more. I don't know, I can't, there's something about these books that I'm just not enjoying, and I don't know why that is. Usually when I love a book, I will not put it down. I'll read it all in one sitting, no matter how late it is. And these books, even though I have read them in one sitting, I could have gone to bed halfway through the book and been totally fine with it. I didn't because I wasn't tired, but I mean, I could have done that and just been like, psh, yeah, whatever, I'll read it another time, maybe a week from now, who knows. It just, they don't really draw me in, I guess. Have you guys noticed that with this book series? I haven't read books 3 or 4 yet, but I plan on doing that just because I want to see if it gets any better, because I've heard so many good things about this series. If you guys have any book recommendations for me to read, leave them in a comment below, because I am a reading fiend. I love reading. And I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you all very soon. Ciao. Book 1, you'll remember that why am I putting my glasses on?